Hi, I am Mrs. Shaver, and I'm going to read to you one of my favorite books, Where the Wild Things Are. So the story and the pictures, so the author and the illustrator is Maurice Sendak. This is a really good book. If you're a little bugger and you're not reading words yet, there's several pages where we sure can still tell what's going on in the story, even though there's not words. There's that good title page. We can tell what's gonna be happening in this exciting book. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. There he is chasing the dog with a fork. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day and in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. Did you notice his boat says Max? And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth. That's gnashing your teeth. And rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all of their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. A little kind of scary at first. And made him king of all wild things. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus start. Now, here we go to pages without words. They're rumpusing, maybe dancing, maybe being loud in the dark. They don't look scared. Hanging on tree branches. No words, but they look like they're having a good time. Look, now he's writing them. He does not seem very scared of those wild things. Now stop, Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all the wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around, from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. There we have a page without pictures. Now, this is a big debate in my classroom sometimes. If Max was sent to his room because he was naughty, and all of a sudden there started to be trees and vines and an ocean, and he sailed away, do you think Max really did all of those things, or do you think he was imagining things? Because you could be in your room and pretend it is all sorts of different things. Now, I want to tell you about an activity that you could do with this book. So on the pages, once he gets to where the wild things are, we start to see those monsters. Sometimes they can be kind of scary. This book scared me a little bit when I was little. And here they are. We don't know what they're going to do to Max yet, so they're a little bit scary. But soon we get to see them not so scary. And Max is kind of in charge of him after he does his magic trick. So it's kind of fun to make monsters of our own or wild things of our own. I'm going to tell you a few ways you could do that. One is, since it's going to be summertime, if you have chalk, you can lay down on your sidewalk and have somebody help you, and you can trace around somebody else's body or they can trace around yours. And then when you stand up, there's your shape. And you can add all kinds of things to your body to make it look not like you. You could turn it into a wild thing. Or if you happen to have a long roll of paper or bigger sheets of paper that a grown-up will let you tape together, you could do this activity inside. You can lay down and have somebody trace around you then. And then you can add all kinds of things. And I'll tell you, the nice thing about using paper is that you can just you don't have to just do the wild things. You can do that first and then you can draw a background. So we know where those wild things are at. Because if you do it outside, you could make that really nice picture, but then what happens if it rains? It gets washed away. And that's fun too, because you could make one wild thing after another. You could have wild things on your sidewalk all summer, if that's okay with your folks and they're not too scary. They've got some good pictures. You could have yours dancing in the moonlight. You could have Max or yourself writing a wild thing in your pictures. All kinds of ideas in this book for a very fun drawing of your own. Thank you for reading with me.